go to the scoreboard and the rest of the league, and as we talk about the teams that aren't 0-3 and thankful that they are not 0-3. We'll start off with the struggling Ninja Mies and Jamie Castellanos team going against Greg Scalera and the Breakfast of Champions, who are trying to get themselves just into playoff contention after a tough Week 1 loss to Susha Dial and the Tits team. Very quickly, the headlines right here. Great week for Ninja Mies. Their luck turned out very well when Michael Vick got back on the field and scored, I believe it was 3 touchdowns, 32 points altogether, even with a rushing touchdown, a wild night rushing touchdown for Michael Vick. Wild night, Wildcat offense, the quarterback rushing in, or whatever you would like to call it. He got the job done. Peyton Hill's Castellanos team going against Greg Scalera and the Breakfast of Champions, who are trying to get themselves just into playoff contention after a tough Week 1 loss to Susha Dial and the Tits team. Very quickly, the headlines right here. Great week for Ninja Mies. Their luck turned out very well when Michael Vick got back on the field and scored, I believe it was 3 touchdowns, 32 points altogether, even with a rushing touchdown, a wild night rushing touchdown for Michael Vick. Wild night, Wildcat offense, the quarterback rushing in, or whatever you would like to call it. He got the job done. Peyton Hill's Cleveland Browns with 23 points. Another high score for this team with a reception touchdown as well. Kansas City Chiefs doing the damage for Jamie's team. They allow only 10 points and they get a whole lot of sacks, as well as a punt return touchdown from the Chicago Bears team in defense. They score 13 points. Great defense and offense helped Ninja Mies just edge Greg Scalera's team by 13 points as they are struggling. Eddie Royal with only 2 points. Charlie Batch was a good pickup for Greg Scalera's team with 19 points, and Jay Cutler in the mix. It just wasn't enough, though. It just wasn't enough for this team. Greg Scalera goes 1-2, and they were involved in one of the trade talks as well. Oh yeah, 1-1 major. Oh, it's one of the walls. Jim Coe team going undefeated against the Bad Samaritans, who do not want to go 1-2. Here are the highlights right here. Phillip Rivers, 455 yards. You've got to be kidding me, Rivers. 455 yards with 2 touchdowns for Jim Coe's Wonderwalls. 26 big points for him. John Carlson, MVP tight end, 12 points. We see Bad Samaritans put up 20 points with Rashard Mendenhall, 20 points right there on the spot. Santana Moss, 16 points as well for AY, but his defense wasn't in line as the Atlanta Falcons gave up 24 points. A little bit costly. But of course, the big story is in the RULTC.org play of the week. Adrian Peterson with an 80-yard run, 31 points for Jim Coe's team, really helping him surpass the total. 140-21 was the score, 14 points for the Titans as well in their defense. But let's get right away to some of our top stories of the weekend that we wanted to cover. Some really big news this weekend. We're going to get to pretty much a floundering Dave Destro. We'll talk more about him in a bit. We'll talk more about Susha Dial losing a very close game. But here we are now that we found our place. Let's talk about the number 1 team, the team that everybody can't get enough of. Jason Goncalves and Team Ya, 182-122, beating Mickey McGuire's Wandering Minstrels that did not put up a bad score total at all, 122 points. But it is Jason's year this year. He's 3-0 and 182 points, by far the most points for a team this year, as he pretty much sets the bar even higher. Peyton Manning's 25 points was a really big help for him. 23 points for Roy E. Williams. Dustin Keller, the Jets tight end, 21 points, outdoing the 12 points that we saw from John Carlson. This team here for Team Ya combined for 13 touchdowns. Quarterback, backs, and receivers. 13 touchdowns. The mismatch here with Mickey McGuire's Wandering Minstrels, a measly 6 touchdowns. Drew Brees, 24 points. And Steelers defense, great defense with 18 points, as the Steelers was one of the better teams in the NFL. Just not enough for Mickey McGuire. Sean Green, only 3 points. Didn't show up. And Miles Austin, continued struggles for Dallas as Miles Austin. 2 receptions, 2 points. It's not looking good for Mickey's Miles Austin. We'll have to see how he plays this out And Miles Austin definitely one of the bigger disappointments this year in the NFL. And as well, let's go over to more headlines here. We're going to be wondering about LCD pound system with the nail biter here. This is a very good showdown. Here's the showdown we wanted to talk about. The LCD pound system and Chris Payne going against Sushil Dayal's Tits team. The game decided by 1 point, and again, like last week, this whole game decided on MNF, Monday Night Football. And we'll tell you all about the feat, but first, the top scores of these two teams and two matchups. Mark Sanchez, 22 points, and Brandon Marshall, representing really big quarterback names. Brandon Marshall for the wideouts did very well. Did very, very well for LCD Pound System side. 22 and 22, and 22 for Mike Wallace as well, Pittsburgh Steelers. Like we said, big team over there at Pittsburgh this year. The defense didn't help out Chris Payne. Saints and Browns combined for only 2 points on the defensive side, both teams losing 24 points to the other. That kept the game really close for Sushil and the Tits team that wanted to go undefeated, with Austin Collie 29 points. And say enough right there, 29 points for him, and 24 points for Chris Johnson, MVP running back. But a struggling Brett Favre, once again, a struggling Brett Favre is the Achilles heel for Sushil Dayal. 10 points only, as Eli Manning gets only 13 points. Their team's struggling as Eli Manning threw some silly interception passes. That opened the door for Chris Payne's kicker, Robbie Gould, on Monday Night Football to score 2 field goals, 2 extra points, 8 points for him, and Robbie Gould saves Chris Payne's bacon. But here is the definite head shaker of the week, as Rich Moy pounces on Dave Destro by 50 points, 129 to 79. Dave Destro scoring the least amount of points this week is definitely a shocker. Dave Destro receiving losses all across the board. Not a memorable week for him for the right reasons. As Rich Moy's Joe Flacco is red hot. Good morning, Baltimore. Good morning, Joe. 22 points for Baltimore as his great year continues. Anquan Bolden, 32 points. The tag team Anquan Bolden, Joe Flacco combining for 54 points. Malcolm Floyd, San Diego Chargers, 15 points. Defense didn't help him a lot, but he didn't need a defense because all Dave Destro brought to this street fight was Aaron Rodgers, 23 points, and Alex Smith's 12. The two quarterbacks scoring the majority of the points for this team, as the rest of the team just didn't show up. Visante Shenko with a problem, questionable health. We'll need to see if the tight end for Dave Destro's team going to come back into play. Both defenses were stagnant, but Dave's stagnant offense and wide receivers were the difference, as Rich Moy goes 1-2, Dave Destro 2-1, but a concerning team. The 2-1 shows that this team is going to be very concerned about their fate next week. The Dave Destro's team, let's see where they are going, who they're going to go against. As we just said, Dave Destro and the good looks, the Brunswick Great Looks, are in negotiation with the Somerset Neblonians, owner of the Neblonians, and the producers of this network. We want to be able to hash that because the Neblonians are in the headlines, and their producers are of this, and the owners are the producers of this very network. So we want to broadcast this vlog fair and balanced. Of course, much better than Fox News could do. That's what sports vlogging is all about. Dave Destro is going to be facing this week against Dharma Initiative, which beats Somerset Neblonians this week, but they will be going in for a tough haul. Scoring 79 points is not good news for them, but it's not good news for the only 0-3 team, the Neblonians. We're going to try and close out this long vlog. Once again, we believe it is 4, 5, even 6 talks of 6 trades that the Neblonians are trying to pull off just to get their team out into the win column. This is the only team, the Neblonians are the only team that haven't won one single game. We're not kidding you. The trades are coming left and right. They're going all over. We'll have to recap this very quickly because we've really run out of our time limit here. We wanted to talk a lot about week 3, but sadly the Neblonians, in their floundering ways, have taken the headlines this week. They've taken the headlines. They've taken all the attention, and there really going to be a lot of unanswered questions coming out of this team. We do know, again, 5-for-5 trade with the Samaritans and Andrew Young's team. Samaritans send Cedric Benson, Andre Johnson. I should say the Neblonians send Cedric Benson, Andre Johnson, Jordan Shipley, Pierre Garçon, Matt Castle for the Samaritans. Derek Anderson, Steven Jackson, Damaris Thomas, Braylon Edwards, and Ben Jarvis, Screen Ellis. The trades approved yesterday. We're looking at a few more trades that are approved. A controversial trade with Team Ya, the leading Team Ya and Jason Gonclaves. They give Josh Cribbs for Neblonian Steve Smith of the Giants, Steve Smith. And another trade with the, I believe it's the Breakfast of Champions and Greg Scalera. They give up Javid Best, who scored a lot of points. I believe it was in week 1. Javid Best, Vincent Jackson, who's on suspension. This is a bet on how he'll perform after he comes back. As the Neblonians give up Keith Miller and Deshaun Jackson. We have we just had word right now. This is what the trade looks like. There is a trade. We can tell you right now that it's a 3-for-3 trade between the Brunswick Great Lakes, Dave Destro's team, and Somerset Neblonians. We're not going to reveal the names because the trade has not been approved yet by Dave Destro's team. We even had trades going 2 for 2, but pretty much, folks, I'm trying to count this up very quickly before we go. It is officially over 18 players. 18 players are going to be involved, even 20 players. One last count here, 5-on-5, 2-on-2, a 1-on-1 trade. That's 16 players. And with Dave's potential 3-on-3, that's another 6 players, 22, almost 24 NFL players are on the trading block. This is absolutely amazing stuff. It's literally fast and furious trading this week in week 3. Week 4 is coming up next week. I talked with Jamie Castellanos and the owner Ninja Me, so we tried to get that interview on Skype. We're going to interview with her later this week. She's really positive that she can beat opponents in the next few weeks. She's going against Chris Payne, LCD Pound System. Also, in Week 5, Susho Dayal's Tits team. We talked about Brett Favre and the weakness he's had. He's had a tough loss this week. What will Susho do to tweak his team? Bye week's coming up. We're going to see how the rest of the trades are going to shape out. Be sure, we are very sure now, that a lot of other players are going to be getting into the trade world, whether it is with other players or indeed the Somerset Neblonians, as it seems that the entire universe just rotates around them right now. That's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for watching. 20 minutes is up. We're going to get you a little more updates coming up in a bit. I'm Alan Wu. Thanks a lot. When we come back, a recap on Week 3, the scores and the highlights, the lowlights, and what Dave Destro is going to be looking at next week. This is Night Owls Net.